I think we all have this desire within us to be remembered. I think we all have this desire to, to leave something behind.
Wake up, it's time to be free. Wake up, was blind, now I see. Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
Welcome. It's Julie and Gordon here with another episode of the Daily Jules. And this is where I drop nuggets of wisdom to help you increase your degrees of freedom. It does not matter how many college degrees you have. What really matters is your degree of freedom. It does not matter how much money you make. What really matters is how you actually make money. So today I want to talk about the 4 ways to leave your legacy. How are you going to leave your impact on the world? And so I have 4 buckets for you that will help you think about this big idea and big concept that oftentimes is way out there in the future, right? Because we're thinking about when you're gone, how to actually think about your legacy and make it more tangible so that you can act in alignment with that legacy here and now. So let's talk about the 4 ways to leave your legacy. I think we all have this desire within us to be remembered. I think we all have this desire to, to leave something behind. What is Beyonce's song? I Was Here, or something like that. Something like that, right? Is you want people to know that you were here, right? And as Steve Jobs says, that you left a dent in the universe. And so when I think about my legacy, I actually approach my legacy in 2 different ways. I think about my personal life and professional life. Now, they are not split for me. They're actually one. But in my professional life, I think about my career and my achievements. In my personal life, I think about my character, right? So when I think about legacy, there's my personal life, and that is character. This is about my being, right? And then there's my professional life, and that is my career. And so when I think about, so there's 2 activities that I do to kind of draw out my legacy and my true desire that's already deep down inside me. It's just, I may not have the language for it yet. And it's also deep down inside you. For my personal life, I do what I call a eulogy. I write out my eulogy from the perspective of my best friend. Before I had my wife, I wrote it from the perspective of my best friend from high school. And then now that my wife is here, I will write out my eulogy from her perspective, right? From her perspective. If she was at my funeral, actually articulating my eulogy, what would I want her to say about my being and my character? Not any of my achievements. I have another activity for that. This is what I would, this is how I think about my legacy. Then from a professional standpoint, what I do is a similar exercise where I actually write out my retirement speech. And I have it. I have my eulogy and my retirement speech, and I have to constantly come back to them and update them as I evolve, as I change, as my desires shift, right? So I write my retirement speech, and I don't have any intention of retiring. That's not my goal. I'm not in a rush for retirement. Most people who are rushing to retirement are doing so because they hate what they do, right? And they think that they're going to enjoy something different on the back end when they hated what they did to get there. I'm not in a rush to retire early. But just for the sake of the exercise, I think about the day I leave this company and I am waving goodbye and I'm passing the ranks to someone else. What would I want to say in my retirement speech? So this is how I think long-term about my legacy, but I want to give you 4 buckets that I think will help you think about your legacy so that you can actually write out your eulogy or your retirement speech. So the first way to leave your legacy is baby bodies. Baby bodies. And that one is pretty easy. That can happen in 10 seconds if you're not careful, right? Now, of course, it takes more to raise a child. But if you're not careful, baby bodies can come in literally 10 seconds, just like that, right? And so a lot of people just leave their legacy by, oh, my name is living on, right? Oh, I wanted a boy so that my name would live on. And baby bodies is cool, but just about anybody can do it. And again, it only takes 10 seconds for your legacy and your name to live on through another human being, through sex, right? So that's baby bodies. The next way to leave your legacy is based on my good friend Pam Slim's book, I don't see it. It's up here somewhere, but it's your body of work. Your body of work, right? Your body of work is everything that is on your resume, not just the responsibility, but more importantly, the evidence and the artifacts of your success, the things that you actually impacted, right? The things that you touched, the things that have transformed because of you, the results that you created, the way you improve your customer or your client or your company's existence because of your presence, right? This is your body of work. For somebody like Michael Jackson, obviously it's his whole catalog of music, right? And videos, not just the music itself, but the video, right? This is his body of work. It speaks for itself, right? So that's the second way to leave your legacy. So again, baby bodies and then body of work. The next way to leave your legacy is institutional bodies. Excuse my spelling. Forgive me. Institutional bodies. I don't know what's going on with me today. Institutional bodies. So institutional bodies, these can be your company. It could be a nonprofit that you either started or you contributed a lot of your time and energy to. It could be a scholarship fund. It could be an event that you created, like somebody created the AIDS Walk, right? That's an institutional body that is going to likely outlive the person who initiated it, right? So these are institutional bodies. And you can see as we go along, it's getting more and more difficult to leave your legacy as we go these ways. This one is easy. Creating a body of work, that's more difficult. Creating an institutional body, that's even more difficult. So that actually leads us to the fourth one, which is your body in service to others. This is the hardest one. And this is like Mother Teresa type level, right? Where I don't know if she had any kids, right? Her body of work spoke for itself. She was part of a major development of a major institutional body, right? But had she not created any of these things, what we do know is that she left her body in service to others. This is why we remember her so much, right? Even when you look at some of our greatest spiritual teachers like Jesus, no kids, right? In terms of the body of work, it was only a short period of time documented in the Gospels. He didn't really create any institutional bodies, though institutional bodies have been created after him. He didn't really create any, right? But what he did leave was his body in service to others, right? He was willing to pay the price and sacrifice, right? And so we have the ability to go up this spectrum, right? And it becomes more and more difficult to leave our legacy as you go along these lines. But ultimately, this is where you want to be. I was reading a book by Howard Thurman where he was talking about a man who was preparing for his own death, and he was going to find his own tombstone. And the person at the mortuary or the funeral home was saying, "What would you like on your tombstone?" And he said, "I want it blank." And he was like, "Why would you want it blank? You lived this illustrious life. You've impacted so many people." And he was like, "No matter how elegant my tombstone is, if I didn't touch people in their hearts, they will not remember me. They will not remember me." So this is aiming for the heart. This is aiming to transform people from the inside out, right? And this is what I encourage you all to aspire for if you truly want to leave your legacy. Okay. So this is how I'm thinking about it. I hope that this structure helps you think about your legacy. I really encourage you to write out your eulogy or your retirement speech. I think they will, those exercises will bless you and actually give you the goosebumps when you read them to yourself. Not because they're morbid or anything like that, but simply because you see who you have the possibility to become. And we don't know how long we have here, but the most important thing is that you're on the journey to actually realizing whatever visions you write here or here. All right. So with that, this is Julian Gordon with another episode of the Daily Jules. I hope that this episode blesses you, and go out there and continue to live in alignment with your legacy. Peace.
I hope these mindsets, metaphors, and methodologies blessed you. If you desire more freedom, go to getfreenow.com to subscribe to the show on iTunes, YouTube, or Facebook, and get 4 of my best courses in the Freedom School for 100% free.